wrong, wrong, wrong. And one simple correction on each of these techniques will most likely solve any problems you're having executing them. When executing your offense, there needs to be an element of fluid involved. And if for some reason you feel like as you execute your front kick or your high kick, something's not entirely fluid, in my experience as a coach, it's usually one very simple solution. And I'm gonna share those with you today. But if for some reason at the end of this episode you're going, shoot, something's still off, I can't figure out how to get things on point, you guys remember, you can meet with me one-on-one over Zoom. I do have some spaces open over the next couple weeks, and it's gonna give you the opportunity to work with me if that's something you're interested in. All right, I got Bob in the house to help today with this episode. We're gonna start off and we're gonna talk about the most common mistake that halts you from being successful in your body shots. And it is very simply being concerned about being at that punch range. You go, oh, if I throw here, that's the perfect range for him to counter back and hit me with that power cross. So what do people do? They tip their head in. And they think, okay, when I tip my head forward, I'm gonna be out of that zone of power. But really what it does is it gives you no power on your body hook. And really, it has to be said that often when I'm in fights, I will take a headshot to give a hard body shot. If I see the headshot coming, I pretty much know I can take it. I don't want to, but I know I can. But when somebody's stretched out and you hit them in the body, oh, it's terrible. But if I tip my head here and now I try and throw, you can just hear it. It doesn't have much power. I have so little rotation. Whereas when I'm back here and I throw, I get that smack on it. So avoid tipping your weight forward, stand your ground, tuck your chin, keep your other hand up, draw your shoulder high, but keep your head in between your feet. That's where you have the most power. Common mistake number 2 is gonna come in the form of a front kick. And because I've been working with people on Zoom and in person over the last couple of years, really trying to help individuals dial in their technique, I've noticed one common error, and it seems to plague everybody, and it is the swinging arm. So when we round kick, we have an arm that swings. When we front kick, we have an arm that swings down. You don't have to do it, but most of the time for people it happens. Keeping your hands up is a great option, but swinging down is what we're taught very often. This hand, if it swings out to the side, and you might not even realize you're doing it, but there's a good chance you are. So instead of brushing it close to the body, it comes out. And you think about this, when you lift your leg and you're here, if you put one hand out to the side, you're now gonna feel your weight wanna tip over. And of course you can correct, but in the moment when you're trying to execute the perfect fluid front kick, you wanna hit it, you wanna get back. You don't want this arm out to the side dragging you down. And normally when people do that, I see them struggle on getting back to their proper stance. So straight out, straight back down, hand stays tight, and you could correct any balance issues and struggles you're having with your front kick. Next up, let's address a high round kick. I know this is a struggle for so many people. A lot of people go, oh, I'm not flexible, I can't kick at head level. And they think that's it. They're like, I'm never gonna be able to throw a head kick. I've been trying to stretch for years and I'm just too tight. Guess what, guys? I've known people whose stretching capabilities are pretty much like they can lift and hold it here. But if they swing their leg up, they can go higher. So it doesn't matter, can I touch my toes or not, or can I get to a full split or not? It's usually one issue that is plaguing people, and that is a disconnect between the hips and the shoulders. What do I mean by that? When I'm in my stance, if my hip goes forward, my shoulder should move forward, but you will not believe how many people throw their hip forward, hip goes forward, but the shoulder stays back. And you can see right away, I'm gonna push him to the side, you can see right away as I try to elevate, if I turn my entire body, look how easy it is. If my shoulder draws backwards, I feel like like I'm impeded in the groin area, but that's really not it. It's not that, it's the fact that this is not coming forward. This is so comfortable, so natural. This is not, and right away I feel everything in there just start to pull. And it feels uncomfortable. So when you get into your stance, doesn't matter if you're throwing a left or right round kick from southpaw or orthodox, think if I'm finishing with my left leg, My left shoulder and left hip should be in front. Same thing on the other side. Turn that body. You're gonna find it much easier when you get a pivot through the ball of your foot as opposed to flat, but really it's just lining that shoulder and hip up, and it solves problems for so many people that I've worked with. Okay, next up, we're gonna focus on the knee. Slamming a knee in. And again, I see the same mistakes over and over. That's the nice thing about teaching for something like 20 plus years. I think I probably started when I was 13, so more than that. But anyway, you can look at people and go, it's probably one of these common mistakes, and usually it is. Every once in a while I have to go a little bit further, but when people are throwing the knee, the main thing that I see them doing wrong is they don't point their toe. And you might go, oh, that's so small. How could that possibly affect anything? But look what happens. If I pull my toes up and I try and pull my heel to my ham or to my glute, that's about as far as I can go. For some reason for me, once I point my toes, I can now squeeze tighter. When I squeeze tighter, I'm less inclined to slide my knee upwards, and now I can poke through. It's much harder to poke through and my foot's dangling down. I want a knee upwards. So people who are struggling with their knees, usually when I show them, look at, tuck your heel super tight and poke through the target as opposed to driving up, it solves it for them. They go from this kind of like knee that looks like they're almost trying to throw a front kick, but they elevate on the ball of their foot. They're all off balance, to all of a sudden being able to poke it through and being really sharp on that technique. Obviously, you can work in all the hands and there's other issues that can come, but really if you can solve that one thing, be a ballerina, point those toes. As soon as your foot comes off the ground, boom, right away, solved. And a quick reminder, everybody, that my defense course is now available again. It was off the market for a while, but now it's back. You can learn how to do the Dutch guard, the Russian blocking, you can learn Philly shell, and so many elements of how I train defense and what the best drills are. There's 30 plus videos. You guys are gonna love this course. Link in the description below. Okay, we're gonna change sides here. Put Bob on this angle so you guys can see my overhand, because the overhand is something that is such an awesome technique. You'll watch UFC and you'll see how often people score brutal knockouts coming over top. It can be on offense, you know, I double jab, boom, but very often it's just a defensive move. I'm standing here, I wait for somebody to jab, head off the center line and catch them on their way in. But so many people seem to struggle with the overhand. And for me, the biggest thing that I've noticed is simply not understanding the angle. They kind of think, okay, a hook and a straight punch, and then they try and do their overhand, and it looks like, I'm trying to muscle it down. No. From here, roll your shoulders, drop your weight. That's all it looks like without an arm. And you see me disconnecting my foot. And then the angle is the problem, it's the area that is the problem factor. So I'm not coming straight, but I'm not coming right around. I'm finding a point in between those two. It's the elbow. You cock that elbow up high, almost to the point where it's higher. Like I actually like to teach people, have your elbow higher than your fist when you land. When you get that elbow up, instead of being here and you're kind of going, oh, how do I do this? What the heck? I get my elbow up and all of a sudden, boom, I'm following through. Boom, I'm following through. I feel like I have power because I'm dropping in and down, and that elbow flared up is the perfect solution. So check that elbow as you throw, roll the body, and you just have this elbow lift, and you kind of come in between the angle of the hook, in between the angle of the straight punch, not that 90 degree, not up the center, kind of that 45. If you can do that, you have a beautiful overhand. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this episode and you can go to the gym, apply these small corrections and go, that was it. That was all I needed. And if that's the case, I'm so happy I was able to help you. As always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.